Enoch chapter 61. And I saw in those days that long cords were given to those angels, and they took to themselves wings and flew, and went towards the north. And I asked the angel, saying, Why have these taken the long cords and have gone away? And he said to me, They went out to measure. And the angel who went with me said to me, These bring the measures of the just and the ropes of the just, that they may support themselves on the name of the Lord of the spirits to all eternity. And the chosen will begin and dwell with the chosen, and these measures will be given to faith fidelity, and will strengthen the word of justice. And these measures will reveal all the secrets of the depths of the earth, and those who have been destroyed by the desert, and those who have been devoured by the fish of the sea, and by the beasts, that they return and support themselves on the day of the chosen one. For none will be destroyed before the Lord of the spirits, and none can be destroyed. And then received a command all who dwell in the heights of heaven, and one power and one voice, and one light like the fire was given to them. And that one first they blessed and exalted and glorified with wisdom, and showed themselves wise in speech and in the spirit of life. And the Lord of the spirits placed his chosen one on the throne of his glory, and he will judge all the deeds of the holy ones in heaven, and will weigh their deeds on scales. And when he shall raise his countenance to judge their paths that are secret by the word of the name of the Lord of the spirits, and their path in the way of the just judgment of the highest God, then they will all speak with one voice, and bless and praise and exalt and glorify the name of the Lord of the spirits. And then will cry out all the host of the heavens, and all the holy ones above, and the host of God, cherubim and seraphim and Aphinim, and all the angels of power, and all the angels of supremacies, and the chosen one, and the other powers on the earth, above the water on that day. And will raise one voice, and will bless and glorify and praise and exalt in the spirit of faith fidelity, and in the spirit of wisdom and of patience, and in the spirit of mercy, and in the spirit of judgment and of peace, and in the spirit of goodness, and will all say with one voice, Blessed is he, and blessed be the name of the Lord of the spirits in eternity, and to eternity. And all who do not sleep in high heavens will bless him. All his holy ones who are in heaven will bless him, and all the chosen who dwell in the garden of life and every spirit of light, who is able to bless and glorify and exalt and say, Holy to thy sacred name, and all flesh, which will exceedingly praise and bless thy name to all eternity. For great is the mercy of the Lord of the spirits, and he is slow to anger, and all his doing, and all his power as much as he has made, he has revealed to the just and to the chosen. In the name of the Lord of the spirits. Enoch chapter 62. And thus the Lord commanded the kings and the powerful and the exalted and those who dwell on the earth, and said, Open your eyes and lift up your horns, if ye are able to recognize the chosen one. And the Lord of the spirits sat on the throne of his glory, and the spirit of justice was poured out over him, and the word of his mouth slew all the sinners and all the impious, and they were destroyed before his face. Then will stand up on that day all the kings and the powerful and the exalted and those who hold the earth, and will see him, and will know that he sits on the throne of his glory, and that the just are judged in justice before him, and that there is no word spoken in vain before him. And pain will come over them like a woman who is in travail, and to whom the birth is hard, when the son enters the mouth of the mother, and she has pain in giving birth. And one portion of them will look upon the other, and will tremble and cast down their countenances, and pain will seize them, when they see this son of the woman sitting on the throne of his glory. And the powerful kings and all who hold the earth will honor and bless, and exalt him who rules over all, who was hidden. For formerly the Son of Man was hidden, and the Most High preserved him before his power, and has revealed him to the chosen. And the congregation of the holy and the chosen will be sown, and all the chosen will stand before him on that day. And all the powerful kings and the exalted, and they who rule the earth will fall before him upon their faces, and will worship and will hope in this Son of Man, and will petition him and ask him for mercy. And that Lord of the spirits will only press them, that they hasten to leave his presence, and their countenances will be filled with shame, and darkness will be heaped upon their countenances. And the angels of punishment will receive them to take vengeance on them, because they have abused his children and his chosen. And they will be a spectacle for the just and for his chosen. They will rejoice over them, because the wrath of the Lord of the spirits rests upon them. And the sword of the Lord of the spirits is drunk with them. And the just and chosen will be saved on that day, and will henceforth not see the face of the sinners and of the unjust. And the Lord of the spirits will dwell over them, and they will dwell with this Son of Man, and will eat and lie down and rise again with him to all eternity. And the just and the chosen will have risen from the earth, and will have ceased to cast down their faces, and will be clothed with the garments of life. And these will be the garments of life before the Lord of the spirits, and your garments will not become old, and your glory will not decrease before the Lord of the spirits. Enoch chapter 63. And in those days the powerful kings who hold the earth will petition the angels of punishment, to whom they are delivered, that they should give them a little rest, so that they could fall down and worship before the Lord of the spirits, and could acknowledge their sins before him. And they will bless and glorify the Lord of the spirits, and will say, Blessed is the Lord of the spirits, and the Lord of kings, the Lord of the powerful, and the Lord of the rulers, and the Lord of glory, and the Lord of wisdom, and every secret is clear. And thy power is to all generations, and thy glory to all eternity. Deep are thy secrets all and without number, and thy justice without reckoning. Now we know that we should praise and bless the Lord of kings, and him who rules over all the kings. And they will say, Who will give us rest, that we might praise and thank and bless him, and be believers before his glory? And now we long for a little rest, and do not find it. We are driven away, and do not receive it. The light has ceased before us, and darkness is our dwelling place to all eternity. For before him we have not believed, and have not honored the name of the Lord of the kings, and we have not praised the Lord in all his doing. And our hope was in the scepter of our kingdom, and in our glory. And in the day of our trial and our trouble he did not save us. And we do not find rest to believe that our Lord is faithful in all his deeds, and in all his judgments and his justice, and that his judgment does not respect persons. And we shall disappear before his face on account of our deeds, and all our sins are counted in justice. Now they will say to them, Our souls are satisfied with unjust goods. But it does not prevent our going to the flames of the pain of hell. And after that their countenances will be filled with darkness and shame before that Son of Man. And they will be expelled from his presence, and a sword will dwell in their midst before his countenance. And thus said the Lord of the spirits, This is the ordinance and judgment of the mighty and the kings and the exalted, and those who hold the earth before the Lord of the spirits. Enoch chapter 64. And I saw other faces in that place in secret. I heard the voice of the angel saying, These are the angels who descended from heaven upon the earth, and have revealed to the children of men that which was secret, and have led astray the sons of men, that they committed sin. Enoch chapter 65. And in those days Noah saw the earth that it was curved, and that its destruction was near. And he lifted up his feet from there, and went to the ends of the earth, and called to his grandfather Enoch. And Noah said with a bitter voice, Hear me, hear me, hear me, 3 times. And he said to him, Tell me, what is it that has been done on the earth, that the earth is so tired out and shaken? May I not be destroyed with it? And after this time there was a great trembling on the earth, and a voice was heard from heaven, and I fell on my face. And Enoch my grandfather came and stood by me, and said to me, Why dost thou so bitterly and lamentingly cry to me? A command has come from before the presence of the Lord over all those who dwell on the earth, that their end is at hand, because they know all the secrets of the angels, and all the violence of the Satans, and all the powers of secrecy, and all the powers of those who practice sorcery, and the powers of fascination, and the powers of those who make metal images of the whole earth, and also how silver is produced from the dust of the earth, and how soft metal originates on the earth. For lead and zinc are not produced like the former. A fountain it is which produces them, and an angel who stands in it. And that angel is excellent. And after that my grandfather Enoch took hold of me with his hand, and raised me up, and said to me, Go, for I have asked the Lord of the spirits concerning this shaking of the earth. And he said to me, On account of their injustice their judgment is completed, and will not be counted before me concerning the months which they have searched out, and through which they have learned that the earth will be destroyed, and those who live thereon. And for them there will be no place of refuge to eternity, because they have showed them that which was secret, and they will be judged. but not thou, my son. The Lord of the spirits knows that thou art clean and free of this blame concerning the secrets. And he has strengthened thy name among the holy, and will preserve thee from those who dwell on the earth, and will strengthen thy seed in justice for kings and great honors. And from thy seed will proceed the fountain of the just and the holy without number to eternity. Enoch chapter 66, and after that he showed me the angels of punishment, who are prepared to come in order to open all the powers of the water which is under the earth, that it may be a judgment and destruction over all those who live and dwell on the earth. And the Lord of spirits commanded the angels who went forth, that they should not lift up their hands, but should wait, for these angels are over the power of the waters. And I went away from the presence of Enoch. Enoch chapter 67, and in those days the voice of God was with me, and he said to me, Noah, behold, thy portion has ascended to me, a portion without blame, a portion of love and of rectitude. And now the angels are making a wooden building, and when they are gone to that work, I will lift up my hands upon it and will preserve it, and out of it will be I.E. Come, the seed of life, and a change will come so that the earth does not remain empty. And I will strengthen thy seed before me to all eternity, and will scatter those who dwell with thee over the face of the earth, and at I.E. The seed will be blessed and increased over the earth in the name of the Lord. And they will enclose those angels who have showed injustice in that flaming valley which my grandfather Enoch showed to me before, in the west, in the mountains of gold and of silver and of iron, and of soft metal and of zinc. And I saw that valley, in which there was a great shaking and a shaking of the waters. And as this took place, there was produced from that flaming, flowing metal, and out of the shaking that shook them, at that place, an odor of sulfur, and it united with those waters. And that valley of the angels who had led astray burned under that earth. And through the valley of that earth come rivers of fire, where those angels who had led astray those who dwell on the earth are condemned. And those waters will be in those days for the kings and the powerful and exalted and those who dwell on the earth, a medicine of the soul and of the body, but for a judgment of the spirit. Because their spirits are full of lust, that they be punished in their bodies, because they have denied the Lord of the spirits, and see their judgments daily, and still believe not in his name. And as the burning of their bodies increases, there will be a change in their spirit to all eternity, for no one will speak a vain word before the Lord of the spirits. For the judgment comes over them, because they believe in the lust of their flesh, and deny the Spirit of the Lord. And those waters themselves in those days suffer a change, for when those angels shall be condemned on those days, the heat of those fountains of the waters changes, and when the angels ascend, this water of the fountains changes and becomes cold. And I heard the holy Michael answering and saying, This judgment wherewith the angels are condemned is a testimony for the kings and the powerful, and for those who hold the earth. For these waters of judgment are a healing of the angels and a death to their bodies, but they will not see and will not believe that those waters change, and will become a fire, which burns to eternity. Enoch chapter 68, and after that my grandfather Enoch gave me the signs of all the secrets in a book, and the parables which had been given to him. And he compiled them for me in the words of the book of the parables. And on that day the holy Michael answered, saying to Ruphil, The power of the Spirit forces me and angers me, and on account of the severity of the judgment of the secrets. The judgment over the angels, who can endure the severity of the judgment which is past and remains, and before which they melt away. And the holy Michael answered again and said to Ruphil, Who is he whose heart is not softened concerning it, and whose reins are not shaken by this word? A judgment has come overt them from I.E. on account of those whom they have thus led out. And it came to pass, as he stood before the Lord of the spirits, the holy Michael spoke to Ruphil, And I will not be for them under the eye of the Lord, for the Lord of the spirits is angered at them, because they act as if they were like gods. Therefore judgment which is hidden comes over them, to all eternity. Therefore neither angel nor man will receive his portion, but they alone will receive their judgment to all eternity. Enoch chapter 69, and after this judgment they will terrify and anger them, because they have showed this to those who dwell on the earth. And behold the names of those angels. And these are their names. The first of them is Semjaza, the second Aristikapha, the third Armen, the fourth Kakabale, the fifth Turel, the sixth Rumjel, the seventh Danel, the eighth Nukil, the ninth Barakel, the 10th Azazel, the 11th Armers, the 12th Badarjel, the 13th Basasael, the 14th Aninal, the 15th Turgel, the 16th Simepisil, the 17th Jeterel, the 18th Tumil, the 19th Terel, the 20th Rumil, the 21st Izeel. And these are the heads of the angels, and the names of their chiefs over 100, and the chiefs over 50, and the chiefs over 10. The name of the first Jequin. He is the one who has led astray all the children of the holy angels, and has led them down on the earth, and has led them astray through the daughters of men. And the second is called Espiel. He is the one who has taught the children of the holy angels the wicked device, and has led them astray to destroy their bodies with the daughters of men. And the third is called Gadriel. He is the one who has taught the children of men all the blows of death, and led astray Eve, and showed to the children of men the instruments of death, the coat of mail and the shield and the sword for battle, and all the instruments of death to the sons of men. And from his hand they have come over those who dwell on the earth, from that time to eternity, and the fourth is called Penimu. He has taught the sons of men the bitter and the sweet, and taught them all the secrets of their wisdom. He taught men writing with ink and paper, GTR, and thereby many sinned from eternity and to eternity and up to this day. For men were not born to the purpose that they should thus strengthen their fidelity with a pen, GTR, and with ink. For man was not created otherwise than the angels, that they should remain just and pure, and death, which destroys all things, would not have touched them. But through this their knowledge they are destroyed, and through this power it devours me. And the fifth is named Castaja. He has taught the sons of men all the wicked beatings of the spirits and the demons, the beatings of the birth in the womb, that it i.e. the birth, fall, and the beatings of the soul, the bites of the serpent, and the beatings which take place at noon, the son of the serpent whose name is Tabat. And this is the number of Kespiel, who showed the head of the oath to the holy ones, when he dwelt high in glory, and his name is Bekah. And this one said to the holy Michael that he should show them the secret name, that they might see that secret name, and that they might mention this name in the oath. And they may tremble before that name and the oath, those that showed to the children of men all that is secret. And this is the power of that oath, for it is powerful and strong, and he placed this oath Aki into the hands of the holy Michael. And these are the secrets of this oath, and they were strengthened by his oath, and heaven was suspended before the earth was made, and to eternity. And by it the earth was founded on the water, and from the secret places of the mountains come beautiful waters for the living, from the creation of the world to eternity. And by that oath the sea was created, and as its foundation he placed for its sand for the time of rage, and it dare not pass over from the creation of the world and to eternity. And by that oath the depths were strengthened and stand, and do not move from their places, from eternity and to eternity. And by that oath the sun and the moon complete their course, and depart not from their commands from eternity and to eternity. And by that oath the stars complete their courses, and he calls their names, and they answer him from eternity and to eternity. And also the spirits of the water and of the winds, and of all the zephyrs and their paths, according to all the unions of the spirits. And in it are preserved the repositories of the voice of thunder, and of the light of the lightning, and there are preserved the repositories of hail and of the hoarfrost, and the repositories of the fog, and the repositories of the rain and of the dew. And all these believe in and render thanks before the Lord of the spirits, and praise him with all their power, and their food is all thanksgiving. And they thank and praise and exalt in the name of the Lord of the spirits to all eternity. And over them this oath is strong, and they are preserved by it, and their paths are preserved, and the courses are not destroyed. And there was great joy among them, and they blessed and honored and exalted, because the name of the Son of Man had been revealed unto them. And he sat upon the throne of his glory, and the sum of the judgment was given to him, the Son of Man, and he causes to disappear and to be destroyed the sinners from the face of the earth, and also those who have led astray the earth. They shall be bound with chains, and shall be imprisoned in the assembling place of destruction, and all their work shall disappear from the face of the earth. And from that time on there will be nothing that will be destroyed, for he, the Son of Man, has appeared, and sits on the throne of his glory. and all wickedness will disappear before his face and depart. But the word of that Son of Man will be strong before the Lord of the spirits. This is the third parable of Enoch. Enoch chapter 70. And it came to pass after this that his name was elevated during his lifetime to that Son of Man, to the Lord of the spirits, away from those who dwell on the earth. And it was elevated on the wagons of the Spirit, and the name departed in their midst. And from that day I was not drawn in their midst, and he set me between two winds, between the north and the west. There where the angels took the cords to measure for me the place for the chosen, and for the just. And there I saw the first fathers and the just, who dwell in this place from the beginning. Enoch chapter 71. And it came to pass after this that my spirit was hidden, and it ascended into the heavens. There I saw the sons of the angels stepping on a flame of fire. Their clothes were white, and also their garments, and the light of their faces was like crystal. And I saw two rivers of fire, and the light of that fire flamed like hyacinth, and I fell on my face before the Lord of the spirits. And Michael, an angel from among the chiefs of the angels, took me by the right hand and lifted me up, and led me out to all the secrets of mercy and to the secrets of justice. And he showed me all the secrets of the ends of heaven, and all the repositories of the stars and of the luminaries, and whence they proceed into the presence of the holy ones. And the Spirit moved Enoch into the heaven of heavens. And I saw there in the midst of the light how there was something which was built of crystal stone, and between these stones tongues of living fire. And my spirit saw how a fire surrounded this house, on the four sides rivers full of living fire, and how they surrounded this house. And around about were seraphim and cherubim and I.S.N. These are they who do not sleep, but guard the throne of his glory. And I saw angels who could not be numbered, 1,000 times 1,000, and 10,000 times 10,000, surrounded that house, and Michael and Raphael, Gabriel and Phanuel. And the holy angels who are in the high heavens enter and leave that house. And Michael and Gabriel, Raphael and Phanuel, and many holy angels without number came out of that house. And with them the head of days, his head white and clean as wool, and his garments beyond description. And I fell on my face, and all my flesh melted, and my spirit was changed. And I cried with a loud voice, with the spirit of power, and I blessed and honored and exalted. And these blessings, which proceeded from my mouth, were pleasing before that head of days. And that head of days came with Michael and Gabriel, Raphael and Phanuel, and with thousands, and with 10,000 times 1,000 angels without number. And that angel came to me and greeted me with his voice, and said to me, Thou art a son of man who was born to justice, and justice dwells over thee. And the justice of the head of days will not depart from thee. And he said to me, He calls peace unto thee in the name of the world which is to come. For thence peace proceeds since the creation of the world, and thus it will be to thee to eternity, and from eternity to eternity. And all who will continue to walk in thy path, thou, whom justice does not leave in eternity, their dwelling places will be with thee. And they will not be separated from thee in eternity, and from eternity to eternity. And so long life will be with that Son of Man, and peace will be to the just, and his right path to the just, in the name of the Lord of the spirits to all eternity. Enoch chapter 72, the book of the courses of the luminaries of heaven, how it is with each one of them, as to their classes, their governments, and their times, as to their names and origin, and as to their months, which their leader Uriel, a holy angel who was with me, showed to me, and their whole description as it is he showed to me, and how it is with respect to all the years of the world and to eternity, till a new creation is made which will continue to eternity. And this is the first law of the luminaries. The luminary sun has its ascent in the portals of the heavens which are towards the east, and his descent in the western portals of heaven. And I saw 6 portals, out of which the sun ascends, and 6 portals into which the sun descends. The moon also rises and sets in these portals, and the leaders of the stars and those led by them. 6 in the east and 6 in the west, and all, each after the other, aright. Also many windows to the right and to the left of these portals. And first comes forth the great luminary called the sun, and his circuit is like the circuit of the heavens, and he is entirely filled with flaming and heating fire. The wagons on which he ascends are driven by the wind, and the sun descending disappears from the heavens and returns through the north in order to reach the east. and is led that he comes to that portal and shines on the surface of heaven. And thus he comes forth in the first month, in the great portal, and he comes forth from the fourth of these 6 portals towards the east. And in that fourth portal from which the sun comes forth in the first month, there are 12 window openings, from which a flame proceeds when they are opened in their time. When the sun rises from the heavens, he comes out of that fourth portal 30 mornings, and descends directly into the fourth western portal of heaven. And in those days the day is daily lengthened, and the nights nightly shortened to the 30th morning. And in that day the day is 2 parts longer than the night, and the day is exactly 10 parts and the night 8 parts. And the sun comes forth from this fourth portal, and sets in the fourth, and returns to the fifth portal of the east 30 mornings, and comes forth from it, and descends into the fifth portal. From then on the day is lengthened 2 parts, and the day is 11 parts, and the night is shortened and is 7 parts. And the sun returns to the east and goes into the 6th portal, and comes forth and descends into the 6th portal, 31 mornings on account of its sign. And on that day the day is longer than the night, and the day will be double the night, and the day is 12 parts, and the night is shorter and is 6 parts. And the sun is raised so that the day is shortened, and the night is lengthened. And the sun returns to the east and enters the 6th portal and rises from it and sets 30 mornings. And when the 30 mornings are completed, the day diminishes by exactly 1 part, and the day is 11 parts and the night 7 parts. And the sun comes forth from this 6th portal in the west, and goes to the east, and rises in the 5th portal 30 mornings, and sets in the west again in the 5th portal. On that day the day diminishes 2 parts, and the day will be 10 parts and the night 8 parts. And the sun comes forth from that 5th portal, and descends into the 5th portal of the west, and rises in the 4th portal, on account of its sign, 31 mornings, and descends in the west. On that day the day is equal to the night, and becomes equal, and the night is 9 parts, and the day 9 parts. And the sun comes forth from that portal, and sets in the west, and returns to the east, and comes forth from the 3rd portal 30 mornings, and sets in the west in the 3rd portal. And on that day the night is longer than the day to the 30th morning, and the day becomes shorter daily to the 30th morning, and the night is exactly 10 parts, and the day 8 parts. And the sun comes forth from that 3rd portal, and sets in the 3rd portal in the west, and returns to the east, and the sun goes into the 2nd portal of the east 30 mornings, and in like manner into the 2nd portal in the west of the heavens. And on that day the night is 11 parts, and the day 7 parts. And the sun comes forth on that day from the 2nd portal, and descends in the west into the 2nd portal, and returns to the east in the 1st portal 31 mornings, and descends into the west, into the 1st portal. And on that day the night will be so long that it will be the double of the day, and the night is exactly 12 parts, and the day 6 parts. And with that the sun has completed his stations, and he again returns to his station and enters in this portal 30 mornings. He rises and sets opposite it in the west. And on that day the night diminishes in length by 1 part, and is 11 parts, and the day 7 parts. And the sun returns and goes into the 2nd portal of the east, and returns to his course 30 mornings, rising and setting. And on that day the night diminishes in length, and the night is 10 parts, and the day 8 parts. And on that day the sun comes forth from the 2nd portal, and descends in the west, and returns to the east, and rises in the 3rd portal 31 mornings, and sets in the west of the heavens. And on that day the night is shortened and is 9 parts, and the day is 9 parts, and the night is equal with the day, and the year has exactly 364 days. And the length of the day and of the night, and the shortness of the day and of the night, by the course of the sun they are made separated. On that account the day course becomes longer daily, and the night course shorter nightly. And this is the law and the course of the sun, and his return when he returns. 60 times he returns and comes out. That is the great, eternal luminary which is called the sun to all eternity. And that which thus ascends is the great luminary, as it is called on account of its appearance, according to the command of the Lord. And thus he ascends and descends, and is not diminished and does not rest, but runs day and night in his chariot, and his light shines 7 times stronger than that of the moon. But as regards size, they are both equal. Enoch chapter 73. And after this law I saw another law with reference to the smaller luminary whose name is Moon. And her circuit is like the circuit of the heavens, and her chariot in which she rides is driven by the wind, and in a measure light is given to her. Every month her ascent and her descent is changed. Her days are like the days of the sun, and when her light is equal full her light is the seventh part of the light of the sun. And thus she rises. And her beginning in the east comes forth on the 30th morning, and on that day she becomes visible, and is for you the beginning of the moon on the 30th morning, together with the sun in the portal whence the sun proceeds. And the one half is prominent by the seventh part, and her whole circuit is empty, and there is no light with the exception of the 1/7 part of the 14 parts of light. And on that day when she takes up the seventh part and the half of her light contains 1/7 and 1/7 part and the half of it. She sets with the sun. And when the sun rises, the moon also rises with him, and takes a half portion of light. And in that night in the beginning of her morning on her first day, the moon sets with the sun, and is darkened in that night, with the seventh and the seventh portions and the half of one. And she will rise on that day with exactly the seventh part, and will come out and become smaller from the rising of the sun, and shine the rest of her days, with the seventh and the seventh part. Enoch chapter 74, and I saw another course and law for her, making her monthly course according to that law. And Uriel, the holy angel, who is the leader of them all, showed me all things, and I wrote down all their positions as he showed them to me. And I wrote down their months as they were, and the appearance of their lights till 15 days are completed. And in 7 single parts she completes all her light in the east, and in 7 single parts she completes all her darkness in the west. And in certain month she changes her settings, and in certain month she goes her peculiar course. And in 2 the moon sets with the sun, in those 2 portals which are in the middle, in the 3rd and in the 4th portal. She comes forth 7 days, and turns and returns again by that portal through which the sun comes, and in that she completes all her light and recedes from the sun, and enters in 8 days into the 6th portal, through which the sun comes forth. And when the sun comes out of the 4th portal, she comes out 7 days, so that she comes out of the 5th, and returns again in 7 days into the 4th portal, and completes all her light, and recedes and enters the 1st portal in 8 days. And she returns again in 7 days to the 4th portal, through which the sun comes forth. Thus I saw their places, the sun rising and setting according to the order of their months. And in those days, if 5 years are taken together, the sun has 30 superabundant days, and all the days which belong to him for one of these 5 years, when they are full, are 364 days. And the superabundance of the sun and of the stars is 6 days. Of 5 years, each at 6, are 30 days, and the moon recedes from the sun and the stars 30 days. And the moon brings in all the years exact, so that their place neither precedes nor recedes one day, but she changes the years with exact justice in 364 days. 3 years have 1,092 days, and 5 years 1,820 days, so that there will be in 8 years 2,912 days. To the moon alone belongs for 3 years 1,062 days, and for 5 years she recedes 50 days, viz. To the sum of these are added 62 days. And thus in 5 years there will be 1,770 days, so that the days of the moon for 8 years will be 2,832 days. For her receding in 8 years is 80 days, and all the days she remains behind in 8 years are 80 days. And the year is justly finished, in accordance with their stations and the stations of the sun, rising through their portals, through which they rise and set 30 days. Enoch chapter 75, and the leaders of the heads of the thousands, who are over all creation and over all the stars, are also with the 4 intercalary days, which cannot be separated from their places, according to the whole reckoning of the years, and these serve the 4 days which are not counted in the reckoning of the years. And on their account men make a mistake in them, for these luminaries serve in reality on the stations of the world. 1 in the 1st portal, and 1 in the 3rd portal, and 1 in the 4th portal, and 1 in the 6th portal. And the harmony of the course of the world is brought about by its separate 364 stations. For the signs and the times and the years and the days, these the angel Uriel showed to me. he whom the eternal Lord of glory had placed over all the luminaries of heaven in the heavens and in the world, that they should rule on the surface of the heavens and be seen on the earth, and be leaders for the day and for the night, viz. the sun and the moon and the stars, and all the serving creatures who keep their course in all the chariots of heaven. The angel Uriel showed me also 12 openings in the circuit of the chariot of the sun, from which the feet i.e. the rays of the sun come forth, and from them comes the warmth over the earth when they are opened at times destined for them. There are also some for the winds and for the spirit of the dew, when they are opened at times, standing open in the heavens at the ends. 12 doors I saw in the heavens, in the ends of the earth, out of which come forth the sun and the moon and the stars and all the deeds of heaven, from the east and from the west. And many window openings are to the left and to the right thereof, and one window in its time produces warmth, like those portals from which the stars come forth as he has commanded them, and in which they set according to their number. And I saw chariots in heaven, running in the world above and below these portals, in which the stars that never set turn. And one is greater than all, and this one courses through the whole world. Enoch chapter 76, and on the ends of the earth I saw for all the winds 12 portals opened, from which the winds come and blow over the earth. 3 of them are open on the face i.e. the east of the heavens, and 3 in the west, and 3 on the right i.e. south of heaven, and 3 on the left i.e. north. And the first 3 are those towards the east, and 3 towards the north, and 3 behind those which are on the left towards the south, and 3 in the west. Through 4 of these come winds of blessing and of peace, and through those 8 come winds of injury. When they are sent, they bring destruction to all the earth and to the water on it, and to all those who dwell on it, and to everything that is in the water and on the land. And the first wind from these portals, which is called the eastern, comes forth from the first portal which is towards the east, inclining towards the south. Out of it comes destruction, dryness and heat and death. And through the second middle portal comes forth the right mixture. There come forth rain and fruitfulness and peace and dew. And through the third portal, which is towards the north, come forth coldness and dryness. And after these the winds towards the south come forth through 3 portals. Firstly, through the first portal of them, which inclines towards the east, there comes forth the wind of heat. And from the middle portal, which is beside that one, there come forth a sweet incense and dew and rain and peace and life. And through the third portal, which is towards the west, there come forth dew and rain and grasshoppers and destruction. And after these northerly winds from the 7th portal, which is towards the east, inclining to the south, there come forth dew and rain, grasshoppers and destruction. And out of the middle portal direct there come forth rain and dew and life and peace. And through the third portal, which is towards the west, which inclines towards the north, there come forth fog and hoarfrost, and snow and rain and dew and grasshoppers. And after these the winds which are towards the west. Through the first portal, which inclines towards the north, there come forth dew and rain and grasshoppers and coldness and snow and frost. And from the middle portal there come forth dew and rain, peace and blessing. And through the last portal, which is towards the south, there come forth dryness and destruction, burning and death. Thereby the 12 portals of the 4 portals directions of heaven are completed, and all their laws and all their destructions and their virtues I have showed to you, my son Methuselah. Enoch chapter 77, they call the first wind the eastern, because it is the first, and they call the second the southern, because the Most High descends there. And especially does the blessed one in eternity descend there. And the name of the west wind is the diminishing, because there the luminaries of the heavens diminish and go down. And the 4th wind, called the north, is divided into 3 parts. One of them is for the dwelling of men, the second for the seas of water, and for the valleys, and for the woods, and for the streams, and for the darkness, and for the fog, and the third part with the garden of justice. I saw 7 high mountains, which were higher than all the mountains which are on the earth, and from them there comes hoarfrost, and days and times and years cease and depart. I saw 7 rivers on the earth, larger than all the rivers. One of them coming from the west empties its water into the great sea. And 2 of them come from the north to the sea, and empty their water into the Erythraean Sea in the east. But the other 4 come from the side of then north over to the sea, 2 of them to the Erythraean Sea, and 2 empty in the great sea, according to others in the desert. I saw 7 great islands in the sea and on the land, 2 on the land and 5 in the great sea. Enoch chapter 78, the names of the sun are these: the first Orgers, the second Tomas. And the moon has 4 names: first Asanya, the second Ebla, the third Benes, the fourth Iri. These are the 2 large luminaries. Their circuit is like the circuit of heaven, and in size both are equal. And in the circuit of the sun, there is a 7th portion of light from which some is given to the moon, and according to a measure it is added till the 7th portion of the sun is ended. And they set and enter the portals of the west, and go around by the north, and come out of the portals of the east on to the surface of the heavens. And when the moon is raised, she is seen in the heavens, having in herself the half of the 7th part of the light, and in 14 days her light is completed. Also 3 times 5 portions of light are put into her, so that on the 15th day her light is completed, according to the sign of the year, and it becomes 3 times 5 portions. And the moon becomes so by the half of the 7th part. And in her decrease on the first day she decreases to 14 parts of her light, and on the second she decreases to 13 parts, and on the third she decreases to 12 parts. And on the fourth she decreases to 11 parts, and on the 5th she decreases to 10 parts, and on the 6th she decreases to 9 parts, and on the 7th she decreases to 8 parts. And on the 8th she decreases to 7 parts, and on the 9th she decreases to 6 parts, and on the 10th she decreases to 5 parts, and on the 11th she decreases to 4 parts. And on the 12th she decreases to 3 parts, and on the 13th she decreases to 2 parts, and on the 14th she decreases to the half of the 7th part. And her light which was left on the whole disappears altogether on the 15th day. And in certain months the moon has each time 29 days, and once 28. And Uriel showed me another law when the light is added to the moon, and from which side of the sun it is added. All the time in which the moon continues in her light, she increases opposite the sun, till on the 14th day her light is completed in heaven. And when she shines in full, her light is completed in the heavens. And on the first day she is called the new moon, for on that day the light is raised upon her. And she is completed exactly on the day the sun descends in the west, and when at night she ascends from the east and shines all night till the sun rises opposite her, and the moon is seen opposite the sun, whence the light of the moon comes. There again she decreases till all her light disappears, and the days of the moon cease, and her circuit remains empty without light. And 3 months she makes 30 days in her time, and 3 months she makes each time 29 days, in which she makes her decrease. In the first time, and in the first portal for 177 days. And in the time of her departure, she is seen each time 30 days during 3 months, and each time 29 days during 3 months. At night she appears each time as a man 20 times, and during the day like the heavens, for there is nothing in her except her light. Enoch chapter 79. And now, my son Methuselah, I have showed you all things, and the whole law of the stars is completed. And he showed me all their laws for every day, and for every time, and for every government, and for every year, and her departure, according to her order in each month and in every week. And the decrease of the moon, which takes place in the 6th portal, for in that 6th portal her light is completed, and from then there is the beginning of the month. Also the decrease which takes place in the 1st portal in its time, till 177 days are completed, in the law of weeks, 25 weeks and 2 days. And how she tarries behind the sun, and according to the law of the stars 5 days in one time exactly, and when this place which thou dost see is completed. This is the picture and the portrait of each luminary which the great angel Uriel, who is their leader, showed to me. Enoch chapter 80. And in those days Uriel answered and said to me, Behold, I have showed thee all things, O Enoch, and have revealed to thee that thou shouldst see this sun and this moon, and those who lead the stars of heaven, and all those that revolve, their deeds and their times and their departures. And in the days of the sinners the years will be shortened, and their seed will be tardy on their lands and on their meadows, and everything on the earth will change and will not appear in its time. The rain will be prevented, and the heavens will retain it. And in those times the fruit of the earth will be tardy and will not grow in its time, and the fruit of the trees will be prevented in its time. And the moon will change her order and will not appear in her time. And in those days it will be seen on the heavens that a great unfruitfulness will come on the outermost chariot in the west, and she will shine more brightly than according to the order of light. And many of the leaders of the stars of command will err, and they will change their paths and deeds, and those subject to them will not appear in their time. And the whole order of the stars will be kept from the sinners, and the thoughts of those who dwell on the earth will err concerning them, and they will be turned from all their ways, and will err and consider them gods. And evil will increase over them, and punishment will come upon them to destroy them all. Enoch chapter 81. And he said to me, O Enoch, contemplate the writing of the tablets of heaven, and read what is written thereon, and learn each one. And I contemplated everything on these tablets of heaven, and read everything that was written, and learned everything, and read the book and everything that was written in it. All the deeds of men, and all the children of flesh who will be on the earth to the generation of eternity. And then I immediately blessed the Lord and the everlasting King of glory, that he had made all the things of the earth, and I blessed the Lord on account of his patience, and blessed him on account of the children of the world. And at that time I said, Happy the man who dies as a just and good one, concerning whom there is no book of iniquity written, and against whom no blame is found. And those three holy ones brought me and placed me on the earth before the door of my house, and said to me, Announce everything to thy son Methuselah, and show to all thy children that no flesh is just before the Lord, for he has created them. 1 year we will leave thee with thy children, till thou art again strengthened, that thou mayest teach thy children and write for them, and mayest testify before them all thy children. And in the 2nd year they will lift thee up out of their midst. Let thy heart be strong, for the good will announce justice to the just will rejoice with the just, and will congratulate themselves among themselves. But the sinner will die with the sinner, and the renegade sink down with the renegade. And those who do justice will die on account of the deeds of men, and will be gathered in on account of the deeds of the impious. And in those days they completed conversing with me. And I went to my people, blessing the Lord of the worlds. Enoch chapter 82. And now my son Methuselah, all these things I relate to thee and write for thee, and I have revealed to thee everything, and have given thee books concerning them all. Preserve, my son Methuselah, the books from the hand of thy father, and give them to the generations of the world. Wisdom I have given thee and thy children, and those who will be thy children, that they give it to their children, the generations to eternity, namely this wisdom above their thoughts. And those who understand it will not sleep, but will hear with their ears, that they may learn this wisdom, and it will please those who eat of it more than good food. Happy are all the just, happy all those who walk in the paths of justice and have no sin like the sinners, in the counting of all their days, in which the sun goes through the heavens, entering and departing from the gates, each time 30 times, together with the heads of the thousands of this order of the stars, together with the 4 that are added and separate between the 4 portions of the year, which they lead and enter with them 4 days. And on their account men will be at fault, and will not count them in the reckoning of the whole world, but men will be mistaken and will not know them exactly. For they belong to the reckoning of the year and are exactly marked forever, 1 in the 1st portal, and 1 in the 3rd, and 1 in the 4th, and 1 in the 6th. And the year is completed in 364 days. And the account of it is true, and the marked reckoning exact. For the luminaries and the months and the festivals and the years have been shown and given to me by Uriel, to whom the Lord of all creation had given command, in reference to me, of the host of the heavens. And he has power over night and day in the heavens, that he may show light over men, the sun and the moon and the stars and all the powers of heaven which turn in their circuit. And this is the order of the stars that set in their places, and in their times, and in their festivals, and in their months. And these are the names of those who lead them, who watch that they enter in their times, and in their order, and in their occasions, and in their months, and in their powers, and in their positions. Their 4 leaders who divide the 4 portions of the year enter first. After them the 12 leaders of the orders, who separate the months and the year into 364 days, together with the heads of the thousands who divide the days. For the 4 intercalary days, these are the leaders who separate the 4 parts of the years. And of those heads of the thousands, One is placed between the leader and the led, back of the position, but their leader divides. And these are the names of the leaders who separate the 4 parts of the year which are ordained: Melchiel and Helamelech, and Melagel and Neril. And the names of those they lead: Adneril and Ijasusel and Ijlumiel. These 3 follow after the leaders of the orders, and one follows after the 3 leaders of the orders, who follow after those leaders of positions, who separate the 4 portions of the year. In the commencement of the year, Melchegel rises first and rules, he who is called Tammani and son, and all the days of his government that he rules are 91 days. And these are the signs of the days which are seen on the earth in the days of his government: sweat and heat and anxiety, and all the trees producing fruit, and the leaves appearing on all the trees, and the harvest of wheat, and the blooming of roses, and all the flowers blooming in the fields, but the trees of winter become withered. And these are the names of the leaders who are under them: Berkiel, Zalbasael, and one other who is added, a head of 1,000, called Helajaseph, and ended are the days of the power of this one. The other leader who is after them is Helamelech, whom they call the shining sun, and all the days of his light are 91 days. And these are the signs of the days of the earth: burning heat, dryness, and the trees bringing their fruit to ripeness and completion, and the sheep mate and become pregnant. And all the fruit of the earth is gathered in, and everything that is in the fields, and the making of wine. This takes place in the days of his power. These are the names and the orders and the subordinate leaders of those heads of the thousands: Jedil and Keel and Heel, and the name of the head of 1,000, which is added to them, Asphael. And completed are the days of his power. Enoch chapter 83. And now, my son Methuselah, I will show thee all the visions that I have seen, relating them before thee. 2 visions I saw before I took a wife, and the one of them was not similar to the other. The first time when I was learning to write, the second time, before I took thy mother, I saw an awful vision. And on their account I petitioned to the Lord. As I was reposing in the house of Malilel, my grandfather, I saw there in a vision that the heavens were lowered and disappeared and fell on the earth. And as it fell on the earth, I saw the earth that it was devoured in a great abyss, and mountains descended on mountains, and hills sank upon hills, and high trees were torn from the trunks, and fell down and sank into the abyss. And on account of this a speech fell into my mouth, and I began to cry and to say, The earth is destroyed. And Malilel my grandfather aroused me as I was reposing near him, and said to me, Why dost thou cry so, my son, and why dost thou lament so? And I related to him the whole vision which I had seen, and he said to me, A terrible thing thou hast seen, my son. And the power of the vision of thy dream is concerning the secrets of all the sins of the earth. It will be about to descend into the abyss and be destroyed terribly. And now, my son, arise and petition the Lord of glory, since thou art a believer, that a remnant may remain on the earth, and all the earth be not destroyed. My son, from heaven all this will come on the earth, and over the earth there will be a great destruction. After that I arose and prayed and petitioned, and wrote down my prayer for the generations of the world, and I will show thee everything, my son Methuselah. And as I went out below, and looked at the heavens, and the sun rising in the east, and the moon descending in the west, and some few stars, and everything as he had known it from the first, I blessed the Lord of the judgment, and to him I gave greatness, because he led forth the sun from the windows of the east, and he ascends and rises on the surface of the heavens, and elevates himself, and goes the path which is shown to him. Enoch chapter 84. And I raised my hands in justice, and blessed the Holy and the Great One, and I spoke with the breath of my mouth and with the tongue of flesh, which God has made for the children of men, that they should speak with it, and gave them breath and the tongue and the mouth, that they might speak therewith. Blessed art thou, O Lord, King both great and powerful in thy greatness, the Lord of all the creation of heaven, King of kings, and God of all the world. Thy godship and thy kingdom and thy greatness will remain in eternity. And to all eternity, and to all the generations thy power, and all the heavens are thy throne in eternity, and all the earth thy footstool in eternity, and to all eternity. For thou hast made and dost govern all things, and nothing is too difficult for thee, and no wisdom escapes thee. She does not turn away from her throne, thy throne, and not from thy face. And thou dost know and see and hear all things, and there is nothing that is hidden before thee, for thou dost see all things. And now the angels of thy heavens do sin, and thy wrath is over the flesh of men to the day of the great judgment. And now, God and Lord and great King, I petition and ask that thou wouldst establish my prayer for me, that there remain to me a posterity on earth, and that thou wouldst not annihilate all the flesh of men, and not make empty the whole earth, and there be an everlasting destruction. And now, my Lord, annihilate from the earth the flesh which has angered thee, but the flesh of justice and of rectitude establish as a plant of the seed to eternity. And do not hide thy face from the prayer of thy servant, O Lord. Enoch chapter 85. And after this I saw another dream, and I will show thee all, my son. And Enoch began and said to his son Methuselah, To thee, my son, I will speak. Hear my words, and lend thy ear to the vision of the dream of thy father. Before I took thy mother Edna, I saw in a vision on my couch, and behold, a bullock came out of the earth, and this bullock was white. And after him there came a female of the same species. And together with this one came other cattle, one of them was black and one red. And that black one horned the red one, and followed it over the earth, and then I could no longer see that red one. And that black one grew, and a cow came with it, and I saw that many cattle like it and following it came from it. And that cow, the first one, came from the presence of that first bullock, seeking that red one, and did not find it, and then raised a great cry and hunted it. And I looked until that first bullock came to her and quieted her, and from that time she did not cry aloud. And after that she brought forth another white bullock, and after that she brought forth many bullocks and black cows. And I saw in my sleep that white bullock grow and become a large white bullock, and from him came many white bullocks, and they were similar to him. And they commenced to beget many white bullocks, and these were similar to them, and one followed the other. Enoch chapter 86. And again I saw with my eyes, while I was sleeping, and I saw the heavens above, and behold, one star fell from heaven, and arose and ate and pastured among those bullocks. And after that I saw the large and the black bullocks, and behold, all changed their stalls and their pastures and their cattle, and began to lament one with the other. And again I saw in the vision, and looked at the heavens, and behold, I saw many stars, and they fell from heaven, and were thrown from heaven near that first star, and among those cattle and bullocks. There they were with them, pasturing among them. And I looked at them, and behold, they all let out their sexual members like horses, and began to mount the cows of the bullocks, and these all became pregnant, and brought forth elephants and camels and asses. And all the bullocks feared them and were affrighted at them, and they commenced to bite with their teeth, and to devour, and to push with their horns. And they then began to devour those bullocks, and behold, all the children of the earth began to tremble, and to shake before them, and fled. Enoch chapter 87. And again I saw them as they began to horn each other, and to devour each other, and the earth began to cry aloud. And I again raised my eyes to heaven, and saw in the vision, and behold, there came from heaven those who were like white men. One came out from that place, and three with him. And those three who came out last took me by the hand, and bore me away from the generations of the earth, and elevated me to a large place, and showed me a tower higher than the earth. And all the hills were lower. And they said to me, Remain here until thou seest everything that comes over those elephants and camels and asses, and over the stars, and over all the bullocks. Enoch chapter 88. And I saw one of those four who had come out before, and he took that star which had first fallen from heaven, and bound it hand and foot, and put it in an abyss, and this abyss was narrow and deep and terrible and dark. And one of them drew his sword, and gave it to those elephants and camels and asses, and they began to beat one another, and the whole earth shook on their account. And as I saw in the vision, behold then one of those four who had descended through from heaven, and gathered and took all the great stars, whose sexual members were like the sexual members of horses, and bound them all hand and foot, and put them in an abyss of the earth. Enoch chapter 89. And one of those four went to that white bullock, and taught him a mystery while he was trembling. He was born a bullock, and became a man, and he made for himself a large vessel, and lived in it, and 3 bullocks lived with him in that vessel, and it was covered over above them. And I again raised my eyes towards heaven, and saw a high roof and 7 sluices to it, and those sluices emptied much water into a yard. And I saw again, and behold, fountains were opened on the earth in that great yard, And that water began to swell and to be lifted above the land and caused that yard to disappear, until all the land was covered with water. And the water and the darkness and the fog increased over it. And as I looked at the height of this water was elevated over that yard, and emptied over the yard, and stood on the earth. And all the bullocks which were in the yard were collected, so that I immediately saw how they sank down and came to naught, and were destroyed in that water. But that vessel swam on the water, and all the bullocks and elephants and camels and asses on the earth sank down, and all the animals, and I was not able to see them. And they were unable to come out, but were destroyed, and sank down into the abyss. And again I saw in the vision till those sluices were put away from that high roof, and the fountains of the earth dried up, and other abysses were opened. Then the water began to run into these till the earth became uncovered. But that vessel reached the earth, and the darkness retreated, and it became light. But that white bullock which had become a man came out of that vessel, and the 3 bullocks with him. And one of the 3 bullocks was white, similar to that first bullock. And one of them was red like blood, and one black, and that one the white bullock went away from them. And they began to bring forth animals of the desert and birds, so that there arose out of them a varied diversity of kinds. Lions and panthers and dogs and wolves and hyenas, and wild boars and foxes and squirrels and hogs and falcons and vultures and buzzards and eagles and crows. And among them was born a white bullock. And they began to bite one another. But that white bullock which was born among them begat a wild ass and a white bullock with it, and the wild ass increased. But that bull which was born from him begat a black wild boar and a white sheep. And this wild boar begat many boars, but that sheep produced 12 sheep. And when these 12 sheep had grown, they gave one of them to the asses, and these asses then gave that sheep to the wolves, and that sheep grew up among the wolves. And the Lord brought the 11 sheep to live with it, and to pasture with it among the wolves, and they increased and became many herds of sheep. And the wolves began to fear and oppressed them till they, the wolves, finally destroyed their i.e. the sheep's young, and threw their young into a stream of much water. But these sheep began to cry aloud on account of their young before the Lord. And a sheep which had been saved from the wolves fled, and escaped to the wild asses. And I saw the sheep as they lamented and cried and asked their Lord with all their power. Till that Lord of the sheep descended at the voice of the sheep from his high abode, and came and looked after them. And he called to that sheep which had escaped from the wolves, and spoke with it concerning the wolves, that it should counsel them not to touch the sheep. And that sheep went to the wolves by the voice of the Lord. And another sheep met that sheep, and went with it. And these 2 came together to the abode of those wolves, and spoke with them, and admonished them that henceforth they should not touch the sheep. And then I saw the wolves, and how they exceedingly oppressed the sheep with all their power, and the sheep cried aloud. And their Lord came to the sheep, and began to beat those wolves, and the wolves began to lament. But the sheep became quiet, and from then on did not cry. And I saw the sheep till they had gone away from the wolves, and the wolves were blinded as to their eyes, and those wolves went out that they might follow the sheep with all their power. And the Lord of the sheep went with them, leading them, and all the sheep followed him. And his face was shining, and this appearance terrible and sublime. But the wolves commenced to follow those sheep, till they reached them in a sea of water. And this sea of water was divided, and the water stood from this side, and from that before their faces. And their Lord leading them stood also between them and the wolves. And as those wolves did not yet see the sheep, they went into the middle of the sea of water, and the wolves followed the sheep, and ran after them into the sea of water. And when they saw the Lord of the sheep, they turned that they might flee from before his face. But this sea of water gathered itself together, suddenly took again its own character. And the water swelled and rose till it covered those wolves. And I saw till all the wolves which had followed those sheep were destroyed, and sank down. But the sheep escaped from that water, and went into the desert, where there was no water and no grass, and they began to open their eyes and to see. And I saw the Lord of the sheep pasturing them and giving them water and grass, and that former sheep going and leading them. And this sheep ascended to the height of a high rock, and the Lord of the sheep sent it to them. And after that I saw the Lord of the sheep as he stood before them, and his appearance was terrible and powerful, and all those sheep saw him, and were afraid before his face. And they were all afraid, and trembled before him, and cried after that sheep which was with him to the other sheep which was among them, "We are not able to exist before our Lord, or to look at him." And that sheep which led them returned, and ascended to the height of that rock, but the sheep began to be blinded as to their eyes, and erred from the path which it had showed to them, but this sheep did not know it. And the Lord of the sheep was enraged over them greatly, and that sheep discovered it, and descended from the height of the rock, and came to the sheep, and found the greater part of them blinded as to their eyes, and erring from his path. And as they saw it, they feared and trembled before its face, and desired to return to their folds. And that sheep took other sheep with it, and came to those erring sheep. And then it began to kill them, and the sheep feared its countenance. And thus that sheep brought back those erring sheep. And they returned to their folds. And I saw there in the vision till that sheep became a man, and built the Lord of the sheep a house, and placed all the sheep in that house. And I saw till that sheep that had met the sheep which led the sheep reposed in death. And I saw till all the large sheep were destroyed, and small ones arose in their places. And they came to a pasture, and approached a stream of water. And this sheep which led them, and which became a man, was separated from them, and reposed in death. And all the sheep sought it, and cried over it exceedingly. And I saw till they became quiet from their crying over this sheep, and they crossed that stream of water. And there always arose other sheep that led them in the place of those which had departed, and led them. And I saw the sheep until they came into a good place, and into a pleasant and glorious land. And I saw these sheep till they were satisfied, but the house stood among them in the beautiful land. And sometimes their eyes were opened, and sometimes they were blinded till another sheep arose and led them, and conducted them all back, and their eyes were opened. And the dogs and the foxes and the wild boars began to devour those sheep till another sheep arose, a buck in their midst, which led them. And this buck began to butt those dogs and those foxes and those wild boars from both sides, till he had destroyed them all. And that sheep had its eyes opened, and saw this buck which was among the sheep departing from his honor, and beginning to butt those sheep, and to tramp on them, and to walk unseemly. And the Lord of the sheep sent that sheep to another sheep, and exalted it to become a buck, and to lead the sheep in the place of that sheep which had deserted his honor. And it went to it and spoke to it alone, and elevated it to become a buck, and made it the prince and leader of the sheep. But during all that time those dogs oppressed the sheep. And the first buck pursued the second buck, and the second buck arose and fled before its face. And I saw till those dogs cast down the first buck. And that second buck arose and led the smaller sheep, and this buck begat many sheep, and reposed in death. And a small sheep became the buck in its place, and was the prince and leader of those sheep. And those sheep grew and increased, and the dogs and the foxes and the wild boars were afraid and fled before it, and that buck buted and killed all the wild beasts. And those wild beasts had no more power among the sheep, and never robbed them of anything. And that house became great and broad, and a large tower was built on that house of the Lord of the sheep for those sheep. And the house was low, but the tower was high and broad. And the Lord of the sheep stood on that tower, and they placed a full table before him. And I again saw those sheep that they again erred, and went many ways, and left their house. And the Lord of the sheep called some from among them, and sent them to the sheep. But the sheep began to kill them. And one of them was saved, and was not killed, but escaped, and cried over the sheep. And they wanted to kill it, but the Lord of the sheep saved it out of the hands of the sheep, and brought it up to me, and caused it to dwell there. And he sent many other sheep to those sheep to admonish them, and to lament over them. And after that I saw, as they left the house of the Lord of the sheep and his tower, they departed entirely, and their eyes were blinded. And I saw the Lord of the sheep, that he caused much death among them in each one of their herds, till these sheep even called for this death, and they betrayed his place. And he left them in the hand of the lions and tigers and wolves and jackals, and in the hand of foxes and all the wild beasts, and these wild beasts began to tear those sheep to pieces. And I saw that he left that house of theirs and their tower, and gave them all into the hand of lions, that they should tear and devour them, into the hand of all the wild beasts. And I began to cry aloud with all my power, and called upon the Lord of the sheep, and showed him this in reference to the sheep, that they were being devoured by all the wild beasts. But he remained silent, seeing it, and rejoiced that they were devoured and swallowed and robbed, and left them in the hand of all the wild beasts as food. And he called 70 shepherds and put away those sheep, in order that they should pasture them. And he spoke to the shepherds and to their companions. Each single one of you shall now pasture the sheep, and everything I command you do. And I deliver them over to you according to number, and will tell you which of them shall be destroyed, those kill. And he gave those sheep over to them. And to another he called and said to him, Watch, and see everything that the shepherds do concerning these sheep, for they will destroy more of them than I have commanded. And each superabundance and the destruction which the shepherds do to these write down, how many they destroy by my command, and how many they destroy by their own will. And write down separately each destruction by each shepherd. And according to the number recite before me how many they have destroyed of their own account, and how many were given them for destruction, that this may be a testimony for me against them, that I may know every deed of the shepherds to give them over, and may see what they do, whether they do my commands which I have commanded them or not. And they shall not know, and thou shalt not let them know nor admonish them, but write down all the destruction of the shepherds, each one in its time, and lay everything before me. And I saw till those shepherds pastured in their times, and began to kill, and to destroy more than was commanded them, and left those sheep in the hands of the lions. And the lions and the tigers devoured and swallowed the greater part of those sheep, and the wild boars devoured with them, and they burned that tower and demolished that house. And I mourned a great deal over that tower, because that house of the sheep was demolished, and after that I could no longer see those sheep whether they entered that house. And the shepherds and their companions delivered over those sheep to all the wild beasts to devour them, and each one of them received in his time a certain number. And of each one the other wrote down in a book how many he destroyed. And each one killed and destroyed more than was ordered him. And I began to cry and to lament exceedingly concerning those sheep. And in the vision I saw that scribe as he wrote each one that was destroyed by those shepherds on each day, and brought up and opened, and showed this whole book to the Lord of the sheep. Everything that they had done, and every one that each single one had removed, and every one that they had handed over for destruction. And the book was read before the Lord of the sheep. And he took the book in his hand, and read it and sealed it and laid it down. And after that I saw that shepherds pastured 12 hours, and behold, 3 of those sheep turned around and came and entered, and began to build everything that was demolished of the house. But the wild boars attempted to hinder them, and they could not. And they again began to build as before, and put up that tower, and it was called the High Tower. And they again began to place a table before that tower. And all the bread on it was unclean and not pure. And concerning all this the sheep were blinded as to their eyes, and did not see, and their shepherds likewise. And a great many were delivered to their shepherds for destruction. And they trod on the sheep with their feet, and devoured them. And the Lord of the sheep remained quiet till all the sheep were scattered in the field, and mixed themselves with them, and did not save them from the hands of the wild beasts. And he who wrote the book brought it to the houses of the Lord of the sheep, and showed it and read it, and petitioned him on their account, and asked him, while showing him all the deeds of their shepherds, and testifying before him against all the shepherds. And he took the book and laid it beside him, and departed. Enoch chapter 90. And I saw to the time when 36 shepherds thus pastured, and each one completed his time like the first. And others received them in their hands to pasture them in their time, each shepherd in his own time. And after that I saw in the vision all the birds of heaven coming, the eagles and the vultures and the buzzards and the crows, but the eagles led all the birds. And they began to devour those sheep, and to pick out their eyes, and to devour their flesh. And the sheep cried out because their flesh was being devoured by the birds. And I cried and lamented in my sleep over that shepherd who was pasturing the sheep. And I saw until those sheep were devoured by the dogs and the eagles and the buzzards, and they did not leave on them meat or skin or muscles till the skeletons stood there alone. And the skeletons fell to the ground also, and the sheep became less. And I saw to the time when 23 shepherds pastured, and they completed, each in his time, 58 times. But small lambs were born from those white sheep, And they began to open their eyes and to see and to cry to the sheep. But the sheep did not cry to them and did not hear what they said to them, but were exceedingly deaf, and their eyes exceedingly and powerfully blinded. And I saw in the vision that the crows flew on to those lambs and took one of those lambs, but broke the sheep and devoured them. And I saw till horns came to those lambs, and the crows threw down those horns. And I saw till one great horn came forth, one of those sheep, and their eyes were opened. And it looked at them, and their eyes were opened, and it cried to the sheep, and the bucks saw it, and all ran to it. And with all that those eagles and vultures and crows and buzzards to that time were tearing those sheep to pieces, and flew down on them and devoured them. But the sheep remained quiet. And the bucks lamented and cried out. And those crows fought and battled with it and sought to remove that horn, but had no power over it. And I saw them till the shepherds and the eagles and those vultures and buzzards came, and they cried to those crows that they should break that horn of the buck. And they fought and battled with it. And it fought with them, and cried that its help might come to it. And I saw till that man who had written down the names of the shepherds and brought them up to the Lord of the sheep came, and he helped that buck and showed it everything, that its help had come down. And I saw till that Lord of the sheep came to them in anger, and all who saw him fled, and all fell into his shadow before his face. All the eagles and vultures and crows and buzzards assembled, and brought with them all the sheep of the desert. And they all came together, and assisted one another in order to break that horn of the buck. And I saw that man who had written the book by the voice of God, till he opened that book of destruction which those last 12 shepherds had practiced, and showed that they had destroyed more than those before them, before the Lord of the sheep. And I saw till the Lord of the sheep came to them, and took the rod of anger in his hand, and struck the earth so that the earth was rent apart. And all the beasts and the birds of heaven fell away from those sheep, and sank down into the earth, and it was covered over them. And I saw till a great sword was given to the sheep, and the sheep came to those wild beasts to kill them, and all the beasts and the birds of heaven fled from their face. And I saw till a throne was built on the earth in the pleasant land, and the Lord of the sheep sat upon it, and he took all the sealed books and opened those books before the Lord of the sheep. And the Lord called to those first 6 white ones, and commanded that they should bring to him from the first star on, which had come forth, all the stars whose sexual members had been similar to the sexual members of horses, and also the first star that had first fallen, and they brought all before him. And he said to that man who wrote before him, who was one of the 6 white ones, and said to him, Take those 70 shepherds to whom I have delivered the sheep, and taking them. They of their own account killed more than I had commanded them. And behold, I saw them all bound, and all stood before him. And the judgment was first over the stars, and they were judged and were found to be sinners, and went to the place of judgment, and were thrown into an abyss filled with fire and burning, and filled with pillars of fire. And those 70 shepherds were judged and were found to be sinners, and they were thrown into this abyss of fire. And I saw at that time that an abyss like it was opened in the middle of the earth, which was full of fire, and they brought those blinded sheep, and they all were judged and were found to be sinners, and were thrown into the abyss of fire and burned, and this abyss was to the right of that house. And I saw those sheep burning, and their bones burned. And I stood looking till he enveloped that old house, and they took out all the pillars, and all the planks and the ornaments of that house were wrapped in with it. And they brought it out and put it in one place, on the right i.e., south of the earth. And I saw the Lord of the sheep till he produced a new house, larger and higher than that first, and put it in the place of the first, which had been enveloped, and all its pillars were new, and the ornaments new and larger than of the first old one, which he had removed, and all the sheep were in its middle. And I saw all the sheep that had been left, and all the animals on the earth, and all the birds of the heavens, falling down and worshipping those sheep and petitioning, and obeying them in every word. And after that those 3 who were dressed in white, who had led me up before, took me by the hand, and the hand of that buck taking hold of me, they raised me, and put me down in the midst of those sheep, before the judgment took place. But those sheep were all white, and their wool large and clean. And all that were destroyed and scattered, and all the wild beasts and all the birds of heaven were collected in that house, and the Lord of the sheep rejoiced greatly. for they were all good, and had returned to his house. And I saw till they laid down that sword which had been given to the sheep, and returned it to his house. And it was sealed before the face of the Lord, and all the sheep were closed up in that house. But it could not contain them. And the eyes of all of them were opened, and they saw the good, and there was not one among them that did not see. And I saw that that house was large and broad and exceedingly full. And I saw that a white bullock was born, and his horns were large, and all the wild beasts and all the birds of heaven feared him and petitioned him at all times. And I saw till all their generations were changed, and they all became white bullocks, and the first one of them was the Word, and that Word was a great animal, and had on its head large and black horns, and the Lord of the sheep rejoiced over them and over all the bullocks. And I reposed in their midst, and I awoke and saw everything. And this is the vision that I saw as I was asleep, and I awoke and blessed the Lord of justice and gave him glory. And then I cried greatly, and my tears did not stand still till I was not able to endure it. When I looked, they flowed on account of that which I saw, because everything will come and be fulfilled. And all the deeds of men in their order appeared to me. And in that night I remembered my first dream, and on its account I cried and trembled, because I had seen that vision. Enoch chapter 91. And now, my son Methuselah, call to me all thy brothers, and assemble to me all the children of thy mother. For the word calls me, and the Spirit is poured out over me, that I show you all that will happen to you to eternity. And then Methuselah went and called all his brothers to him, and assembled his relatives. And he conversed with all his children concerning justice, and said, Hear, my children, all the words of your father, and listen properly to the voice of my mouth, for I admonish you and tell you. My beloved, love rectitude and walk in it. And do not approach rectitude with a double heart, and do not associate with those of a double heart, but walk in justice, my children, and she will lead you in the good path. And justice will be your companion. For I know that a condition of oppression will grow strong on the earth, and great punishment will be completed over the earth, and all injustice will be completed and be cut off by the roots, and its whole habitation destroyed. And again injustice will be repeated, and all the deeds of injustice and the deeds of oppression and of sin will be renewed on the earth. And when injustice and sin and reviling and oppression and all the deeds will increase, and falling off and reviling and uncleanness will increase, there will be a great punishment from heaven upon them all, and the holy Lord will come forth in anger, and with punishment, that he may pass judgment on the earth. And in those days oppression will be cut off from its roots, and the roots of injustice together with deception, and they will be destroyed from under heaven. And all the pictures of the heathens will be given away. The towers will be burned by fire, and they will be removed from the whole earth, and will be thrown into a condemnation of fire, and will be destroyed in anger, and in a strong judgment which will be to eternity. And the just one will arise from sleep, and wisdom will arise and will be given to them. And then the roots of injustice will be cut off, and the sinners will be destroyed with the sword, and the roots of the revilers will be cut off in every place. And those who contemplate oppression and revile will be destroyed by the edge of the sword, and after that there will be another week, the 8th, that of justice. And the sword will be given to it, that it may pass judgment and justice on those who practice injustice, and the sinners will be delivered into the hands of the just. And in the end of it they will acquire houses through their justice, and they will build a house to the great king as an honor to eternity. And after that, in the 9th week, the judgment of justice will be revealed to all the world, and all the doings of the impious will depart from the world. And the world will be written out for destruction, and all men will look for the path of rectitude. And after this, in the 10th week, in the 7th part, there will be the judgment to eternity, which is held over the watchers and the great heavens of eternity, which will spring forth from the midst of the angels. And the first heaven will pass away and cease, and a new heaven will appear, and all the powers of heaven will shine to eternity sevenfold. And after that there will be many weeks without number to eternity, in goodness and in justice, and sin will not be mentioned from that time on to eternity. And now I tell you, my children, and show you the paths of justice and the paths of oppression, and I will show them to you again, that ye may know what will come. And now hear, my children, and walk in the paths of justice, and do not walk in the paths of oppression, for they will be destroyed in eternity who walk in the paths of injustice. Enoch chapter 92, written by Enoch, the scribe, all this doctrine of wisdom, praiseworthy to all men, and a judge of all the earth, to all my children who will dwell on the earth, and to the future generations, who will practice rectitude and peace. Let not your spirits be sorrowful on account of the times, for the great Holy One has given days for everything. And the just one will arise from sleep, will arise and walk in the paths of justice, and all his paths and ways will be in everlasting goodness and grace. He will be gracious to the just one, and will give him everlasting rectitude, and will give power, and will be in goodness and justice, and he will walk in the everlasting light. But sin will be destroyed in darkness to eternity, and will not be seen from that day on to eternity. Enoch chapter 93, and after that Enoch commenced to relate out of the books. And Enoch said, concerning the children of justice, and concerning the chosen of the world, and concerning the plant of justice and of rectitude, of these I will speak to you and announce to you. My children, I, Enoch, as it has appeared to me in a vision from heaven, and what I learned through the voice of the holy angels and understood from the tablets of heaven. And Enoch commenced to relate from the books and said, I was born the 7th in the 1st week, while judgment and justice were yet retarded. And there will arise after me in the 2nd week great evil, and destruction will spring up, and in it there will be the first end, and in it a man will be saved. And after it is finished, injustice will grow, and he will make a law for the sinners. And after that, in the 3rd week, in the end thereof, a man will be chosen as a plant of the judgment of justice, and after him the plant of justice will come forever. And after that, in the 4th week, in the end thereof, visions of the holy and the just will be seen, and a law for all generations, and a court will be made for them. And after that, in the 5th week, in the end thereof, a house of glory and of supremacy will be built to eternity. And after that, in the 6th week, those who will exist in it will all be blinded, and their hearts will all forget wisdom, and in it a man will ascend. And in the end thereof the house of supremacy will burn with fire, and the whole race of the chosen root will be cut off. And after that, in the 7th week, a rebellious generation will arise, and many will be their deeds, and all their deeds will be rebellious. And in the end thereof the chosen just of the everlasting plan of justice will be rewarded. 7 portions of learning are given to them concerning all his creatures. And who is there of all the children of men that is able to hear the voice of the Holy One, and does not tremble, and who is able to think his thoughts? And who that is able to see all the works of heaven? And how could one know the deeds of heaven, and be able to see his breath and his spirit, and be able to relate it, or ascend and see all their ends, and think them or act like them? And who is the man that is able to know what the breadth and the length of the earth is, and to whom has the measure of them all been shown? Or is there any man who is able to know the length of heaven, and what is its height, and upon what it is established, and what is the measure as regards the number of the stars, and where all the luminaries rest? Enoch chapter 94, and now I say to you, my children, love justice and walk in it, for the paths of justice are worthy that they be accepted. And the paths of injustice are destroyed suddenly and cease. And to certain men of a future generation, the paths of violence and of death will be revealed, and they will retreat from them, and will not follow them. And now I say to you, the just, do not walk in the wicked path and in violence, and not in the paths of death, and do not approach them, that ye be not destroyed. But love and choose for yourselves justice and a pleasing life, and walk in the paths of peace, that ye may live and have joy. And hold in the thoughts of your hearts, and let not my words be eradicated from your hearts. For I know that the sinners will deceive men to make wisdom wicked, and it i.e. wisdom will not find a place, and all kinds of temptations will not cease. Woe to those who build injustice and violence and found deception, for they will be rooted out suddenly, and will have no peace. Woe to those who build their houses in sin, for they will be rooted out from their foundation, and will fall by the sword. And they who acquire gold and silver will be destroyed by sudden judgment. Woe to you rich, for ye have trusted in your riches, but ye will come away from your riches, because ye have not remembered the Most High in the days of your riches. Ye have done reviling and injustice, and were prepared for the day of bloodshed, and for the day of darkness, and for the day of the great judgment. Thus I speak to you, and announce to you that he who has created you will destroy you from the foundation, and over your fall there will be no pity, and your Creator will rejoice in your destruction. And your just in those days will be a disgrace to sinners and the impious. Enoch chapter 95, Oh, that my eyes were clouds of water, and I could weep over you and pour out my tears like a cloud of water, and I could rest from the sorrow of my heart. Who has empowered you to practice hate and wickedness? May the judgment reach you, the sinners. Fear not the sinners, ye just, for God will give them into your hands again, that ye may pass judgment over them, as ye desire. Woe to you who pronounce curses that they be not loosened, and healing will be far from you on account of your sins. Woe to you who repay evil to your neighbor, for ye will be repaid according to your deeds. Woe to you, the witnesses of untruth, and to those who weigh injustice, for ye will be destroyed suddenly. Woe to you sinners, for ye pursue the just. For ye will be given over and pursued, ye men of injustice, and heavy will be their yokes upon you. Enoch chapter 96, Hope ye just, for the sinners will be destroyed suddenly before you, and the power over them will be to you as ye desire. And in the day of the trouble of the sinners, your children will mount and rise like eagles, and your nest will be higher than the hawk. And ye will ascend and go like the squirrels into the recesses of the earth, and into the clefts of the rock to eternity before the unjust. But they will lament over you and cry like satyrs. But fear not, ye who suffer, for a healing will be to you, and a brilliant light will shine for you, and ye will hear the voice of rest from heaven. Woe to you, sinners, for your riches make you appear like the just, but your hearts prove to you that you are sinners. And this word will be a testimony against you, as a remembrance of wicked deeds. Woe to you who devour the marrow of the wheat, and drink the power of the root of the fountain, and trod down the lowly by your power. Woe to you who drink water at all times, for ye will be repaid suddenly, and will dry up and wither, because ye have left the fountain of life. Woe to you who practice injustice and destruction and reviling. There will be a remembrance against you for evil. Woe to you powerful, who throw down with power the just ones, for the day of your destruction will come. In those days many and good days will come to the just, on the day of your judgment. Enoch chapter 97, Believe ye just, for the sinners will come to shame, and will be destroyed on the day of injustice. It will be known to you that the Most High is mindful of your destruction, and the angels rejoice over your destruction. What will ye do, ye sinners? And whither will ye flee on that day of judgment, when ye will hear the voice of the prayer of the just? Ye will not be like those, ye against whom this word will be a testimony. Ye have been companions of the sinners. And in those days the prayer of the just will reach the Lord. And the days of your judgment will come to you. And all the words of your injustice will be recited before the great and holy one, and your faces will be filled with shame, and each work that is founded on injustice will be cast off. Woe to you sinners, in the midst of the ocean, and over the land whose remembrance of you is evil. Woe to you who acquire silver and gold without justice, and say, We have become rich and have treasures, and possess everything we desire, and now we will do what we contemplate. For we have gathered together silver, and our treasuries are filled, and as water so many are the workmen of our houses. And like water your lies will float away. For wealth will not remain for you, but will ascend suddenly from you. For ye have acquired it all in injustice, and ye will be given over to a great condemnation. Enoch chapter 98, And now I swear to you, the wise and the foolish, for ye will see much on this earth. For ye men will put on more ornaments than the women, and colored stuffs more than the virgin, in royalty, and in greatness, and in power, and in silver, and in gold, and purple, and honor. And in food they will float away like water. And therefore they will have no knowledge and no wisdom, and thereby they are destroyed together with their treasures, and with all their glory and their honor. And in shame, and in murder, and in great poverty, their spirits will be cast into an oven of fire. I swear to you sinners, as a mountain has not and will not become a slave, nor a hill the maid of a woman, thus too has sin not been sent on the earth, but man of himself has created it. And it will be for a great curse to those who do it. And barrenness has not been given to a woman, but on account of the deeds of her hands she dies without children. I swear to you sinners, by the Holy and the Just One, that all your wicked deeds are revealed in the heavens, and none of your deeds of violence are covered or hidden. And do not think in your souls, and do not say in your hearts, that ye do not know and do not see that every sin is daily being written down in heaven before the Most High. And from now ye know that all your violence which ye commit is written down on each day to the day of your judgment. Woe to you fools, for ye will be destroyed by your foolishness, and ye do not listen to the wise, and will not attain anything good. And now know that ye are prepared for the day of destruction, and do not hope that ye will live, ye sinners, but ye shall depart and die, for ye do not know a ransom. For ye are prepared for the day of the great judgment, and for the day of trouble and of great disgrace to your souls. Woe to you hardened of heart, who do evil and devour blood. Whence have ye good eating and drinking and satisfaction? From all the good which our Lord, the Most High, has spread in abundance over the earth, and ye will have no peace. Woe to you who love the deeds of injustice. Why do ye hope for goodness to yourselves? Know that ye shall be given into the hands of the just. They will cut off your necks and slay you, and will not pity you. Woe to you who rejoice in the trouble of the just, for a grave will not be dug for you. Woe to you who make the words of the just in vain, for the hope of life will not be to you. Woe to you who write down words of untruth and words of the impious, for they write down their lies that they be heard, and do not forget their foolishness, and there will be no peace to them. But they will die a sudden death. Enoch chapter 99. Woe to those who act impiously, and glory in the words of untruth, and honor them. Ye will be destroyed, and will have no good life. Woe to you who change the words of rectitude, and who transgress the law of eternity, and make themselves that which they are not, namely, sinners. They will be trod down on the earth. And in those days prepare yourselves, ye just, to raise your prayers of remembrance, and ye will place them as a testimony before the angels, that they may lay the sins of the sinners before the Most High as a remembrance. In those days the nations will be disturbed, and the generations of the nations will arise on the day of destruction. And in those days the fruit of the womb will miscarry, and they will mangle their own children, and they will cast their children from them, and miscarriages will pass from them. They will cast sucklings from them, and will not return to them, and will not pity their beloved. Again I swear to you sinners, that sin has been prepared for a day of blood which does not end. And they will worship stones, and others will make images of gold, and of silver, and of wood, and of clay, and others will worship unclean spirits and demons and all kinds of idols. Even in the idol temples, but no help will be found in them. And they will become impious in the foolishness of their hearts, and their eyes will be blinded through fear in their hearts, and through a vision of their dreams. Through them they will be impious and will fear, because they do all their deeds in untruth and worship stones, but they will be destroyed in an instant. But in those days blessed are all they who receive the words of wisdom and know them, and do the paths of the Most High, and walk in the path of justice. And do not act impiously with those who act impiously, for they will be saved. Woe to you who spread evil among your neighbors, for ye will be killed in hell. Woe to you who make a foundation for sin and deception, and who cause bitterness on the earth, for thereby they will reach an end. Woe to you who build your houses by the labor of another, and whose building material is nothing but the bricks and stones of sin. I tell you, ye will have no peace. Woe to those who cast away the measure and the inheritance of their fathers, which is forever, and cause their souls to follow after idols. No rest will be to them. Woe to those who practice injustice and aid oppression, and kill their neighbors to the day of the great judgment. For he will cast down your glory, and put the wickedness to your hearts, and will raise the spirit of his anger, and will destroy you all with the sword. And all the just and holy will remember your sins. Enoch chapter 100. And in those days the fathers will be slain in one place with their sons, and brothers with the others will fall in death, till it flows like a stream from their blood. For a man will not in mercy draw his hand from his sons, and from his sons' sons, to kill them, and the sinner will not draw his hand from his honored brother. From the dawn to the setting sun they will kill each other. And a horse will walk up to his breast in the blood of the sinners, and a wagon will sink into its height. And at those days the angels will come into the secret places, and will collect in one place all those who aided sin. And the Most High will arise on that day to pass a great judgment over all the sinners. But over all the just and holy he will place holy angels as watchmen to watch them like the apple of an eye, till an end has been made to evil and to all sin. And even if the holy sleep a long sleep, there is nothing to fear. And the wise among men will see the truth, and the children of the earth will understand all the words of this book, and know that their riches will not be able to save them in the overthrow of their sins. Woe to you sinners, if ye trouble the just on the day of great pain and burn them with fire. Ye will be repaid according to your work. Woe to the hardened of heart, who watch to contrive wickedness. Fear will be about to come over you, and there will be none to save you. Woe to you sinners, for on account of the words of your mouth, and on account of the deeds of your hands which ye have done, ye who act impiously will burn in a pool of flaming fire. And now know that the angels will seek out your deeds in heaven from the sun, and the moon, and the stars in reference to your sins, because ye pass judgment on the earth on the just. And he will call to testify over you each cloud and fog and dew and rain, for they all will be kept back from you that they do not descend upon you, and shall they not think of your sins? And now give presents to the rain that it may not be kept back from descending upon you, or the dew when it has received gold or silver from you. When hoarfrost and snow and their coldness descend upon you, and all the winds of the snow and all their plagues, in those days ye will not be able to stand before them. Enoch chapter 101. Notice the heavens, all ye children of heaven, and all the doings of the Most High, and have fear of him, and do no evil before him. When he locks the windows of heaven, and prevents the rain and the dew from descending upon the earth on your account, what will ye do then? And when he sends his anger over you and over all your deeds, ye cannot petition him, because ye have spoken concerning his justice proudly and boldly, and ye shall have no peace. And do ye not see the kings of the ships, how their ships are chased about by waves, and tremble before the winds, and are troubled? And therefore they fear, because all their good treasures go into the sea with them, and they are troubled in their hearts that the sea might swallow them, and they perish in it. Is not all the sea and all its waters and all its movements a work of the Most High? And has he not sealed all its doings and bound it all in the sand? It dries up at his threats and is afraid, and all its fish die, and all that is in it. And ye sinners who are on the earth do not fear him. Has he not made heaven and earth and all that is in them? And who has given understanding and wisdom to all who move on the earth, and to those on the sea? Do not the kings of the ships fear the sea, but the sinners do not fear the Most High. Enoch chapter 102. And in those days when he brings a painful fire upon you, whither will ye flee, and where will ye save yourselves? And when he brings his word upon you, will ye then not be aghast and fear? And all the luminaries will tremble in great fear, and all the earth will be aghast, and will tremble and quake. And all the angels will fulfill their commands, and will desire to hide themselves from before him, great in glory, and the children of the earth will tremble and shake. And ye, sinners, are cursed to eternity, and will have no peace. Fear not, ye souls of the just, and hope for the day of your death in justice. And be not sorrowful that your souls descend into Sheol, in great trouble and lamentation and sorrow, and in grief, and that your bodies have not found it in your life as your goodness deserved. But rather on a day on which ye were like the sinners, and on the day of the curse and the punishment. And when ye die, the sinners speak over you. As we die, the just die, and what benefit have they in their deeds? Behold, as they have died in anxiety and in darkness, and what advantage have they over us? From now on we are equal. And what will they receive, and what will they see to eternity? For behold, they too have died, and from now on to eternity they do not see the light. I tell you, sinners, it is sufficient for you to eat and drink, and to make a man naked, and to rob and to sin, and to acquire wealth, and to see good days. Have ye seen the just, how their end was peace, because no oppression was found in them to the day of their death? And they were destroyed, and became as if they had not been, and the souls descended in Sheol in trouble. Enoch chapter 103. And now I swear to you the just, by his great glory and his honor, and by his glorious kingdom, and by his greatness I swear to you. I know this mystery, and have read it in the tablets of heaven, and have seen the book of the holy ones, and have found written in it and inscribed on their account, that all goodness and joy and honor are prepared for them, and are written down for the spirits of those who have died in justice. And that much good is given to you as a reward for your labor, and that your portion is better than the portion of the living. And your souls will live, ye who have died in justice, and your spirits will rejoice and be glad. and their remembrance will be before the face of the Great One to all the generations of eternity. And now do not fear their shame. Woe to you, sinners, if ye die in your sins, and those who are like you say concerning you. Blessed are they, the sinners, they have seen all their days. And now they have died in good fortune and in wealth, and have not seen trouble or murder in their life. In glory they have died. And judgment has not been passed over them in their life. Do you know that their souls will be caused to descend into Sheol, and it will be ill with them, and their trouble great? And in darkness and in toils and in a burning flame their spirits will burn at the great judgment, and a great judgment will be for all generations to eternity. Woe to you, for you will have no peace. Say not to the just and good who are in life, in the days of our need we have endured labor and have seen all need, and have met much evil, and have been injured and diminished. And our spirit has become small. We have been destroyed, and there was none to help us. With word and deed we were incapable and attained to nothing whatever. We were tortured and destroyed, and did not hope to see life day by day. We hoped to be the head and were the tail. We labored exceedingly and did not gain by our labor. We became food for sinners, and the unjust laid their yoke heavily upon us. Those who hated and those who beat us became our rulers, and we bent our neck to our haters, and they did not pity us. And we desired to go from them in order to flee and to rest, but we did not find whither to flee and to save ourselves from them. We complained to the rulers in our trouble and in our pain over those who devoured us, but they did not attend to our cry and did not wish to hear our voice. And they helped those who robbed and devoured us, and those who diminished us, and they made secret their oppression, so that they did not remove their yoke from us, but devoured us and scattered us and murdered us, and they kept secret our murder, and did not think of it that they had lifted up their hands against us. Enoch chapter 104, I swear to you, just once, that in heaven the angels will have a remembrance concerning you for good before the glory of the Great One. Your names will be written before the glory of the Great One. Hope, for at first you were disgraced in evil and need, but now ye will shine like the luminaries of heaven, and will be seen, and the portals of heaven will be opened to you. And continue your cry for a judgment. It will appear to you, for all your trouble will be avenged on the rulers, and on all those who helped those who oppressed you. Hope and do not cease your hope, for ye will have great joy like the angels in heaven. Since such will be yours, ye will not hide on the day of the great judgment, and ye will not be found as sinners. And the everlasting judgment will be far from you for all the generations of the world. And now fear not, ye just, when ye see the sinners strengthening and rejoicing in their desires, and be not associates with them, but keep far from their oppression. For ye shall be companions of the hosts of heaven. Ye sinners, although ye say, ye cannot search it out, and all our sins are not written down, still they will continually write down your sins every day. And now I show it to you that light and darkness, day and night, see all your sins. Be not impious in your hearts, and do not lie, and do not change the words of rectitude, and do not call a lie the words of the Holy and Great One, and do not glorify your idols. For all your untruths and all your impiety will not be to you for a justification, but for a great sin. And now I know this mystery, that the words of rectitude will be changed, and many sinners will rebel, and will speak wicked words, and will lie and make great works, and write books concerning their words. But when they write all my words in rectitude in their languages, and do not change or abridge anything of my words, but write all in rectitude, all that I have first testified on their account. Then I know another mystery, that books will be given to just and to the wise for joy and for rectitude and for much wisdom. And the books will be given to them, and they will believe in them and will rejoice in them. And then all the just, who have learned all the paths of rectitude out of them, will be rewarded. Enoch chapter 105, and in those days, says the Lord, they will call and testify over the sons of the earth concerning their wisdom. Show it to them, for ye are their leaders. And the rewards over all the earth. For I and my Son will join with them to eternity in the paths of rectitude in their lives. And peace will be to you. Rejoice, ye children of rectitude, in truth. Enoch chapter 106, and after some days my son Methuselah took a wife for his son Lamech, and she became pregnant by him, and gave birth to a son. His body was white as snow and red as the bloom of a rose, and the hair of his head was white as wool, and his eyes beautiful. and when he opened his eyes, they illuminated the whole house like the sun, and the whole house became exceedingly light. And as he was taken from the hand of the midwife, he opened his mouth and conversed with the Lord of justice. And his father Lamech was afraid of him, and fled, and came to his father Methuselah. And he said to him, I have begotten a singular son, unlike a man, but similar to the children of the angels of heaven, and his creation is different, and not like ours. And his eyes are like the feet I.e. rays of the sun, his face glorious. And it seems to me he is not from me, but from the angels, and I fear that wonderful things will happen in his days over the earth. And now, my father, I am here petitioning and asking of thee that thou shouldst go to Enoch our father, and hear of him the truth. For he has his dwelling place with the angels. And when Methuselah had heard the words of his son, he came to me at the ends of the earth, for he had heard that I was there, and cried aloud. And I heard his voice, and came to him. And I said to him, Behold, here I am, my son, because thou hast come to me. And he answered and said to me, I have come to thee concerning a great thing. And concerning a disturbing vision, it is that I have approached. And now, my father, hear me, for there has been born to my son Lamech a son, whose similarity and kind is not like the kind of men. His color is whiter than snow, and redder than the bloom of a rose. And the hair of his head is whiter than white wool, and his eyes like the feet I.e. rays of the sun, and he opened his eyes, and they illuminated the whole house. And when he was taken from the hands of the midwife, he opened his mouth and blessed the Lord of heaven. And his father Lamech was afraid, and fled to me, and did not believe that he was from him, but that his similarity was from the angels of heaven. And behold, I have come to thee that thou shouldst teach me justice I.e. the truth. And I, Enoch, answered and said to him, The Lord will make new things on the earth, and this I know and have seen in a vision. And I announce it to thee that, in the generations of my father Jard, some from the heights of heaven departed from the word of the Lord. And behold, they committed sin, and departed from the law, and united themselves with women, and committed sin with them, and married some of them, and begat children from them. And great destruction will be over all the earth, and there will be the water of a deluge, and a great destruction will be for 1 year. This son who is born to thee will be left on the earth, and his 3 children will be saved with him. When all men who are on the earth shall die, he and his children will be saved. They beget on earth giants, not according to the spirit, but according to the flesh, and there will be great punishment on the earth. And the earth will be washed of all of its uncleanness. And now announce to thy son Lamech that he who was born to him is in truth his son, and call his name Noah, for he will be a remnant of you. And he and his children will be saved from the destruction which will come over the earth on account of all the sins, and all the injustice which will be completed in his days over the earth. And after that, injustice will exceed that which was first committed on the earth. For I know the mysteries of the holy ones, for he, the Lord, has showed me, and has instructed me. And I have read in the tablets of heaven. Enoch chapter 107. And I saw written upon them that generation upon generation will transgress till a generation of justice arises, and transgression will be destroyed. And sin will disappear from the earth, and all good will come over it. And now, my son, go and announce to thy son Lamech that this son who is born is really his, and that this is not a falsehood. And when Methuselah had heard the words of his father Enoch, for he had showed him everything that was secret, he returned, after his having seen him, and called the name of that son Noah, for he will make glad the earth for all destruction. Enoch chapter 108. Another book that Enoch wrote for his son Methuselah, and for those who come after him, and keep the law in the last days. Ye who kept it, and now wait in those days till those who did evil are completed, and the power of the transgressors has been completed, wait till sin disappears. For their names will be erased from the books of the holy ones, and their seed will be destroyed to eternity, and their spirits will be killed, and they will cry and lament in a void, empty place, and burn in a fire where there is no end. And there I saw something like a cloud which could not be seen, for from its depths I could not look over it, and I saw a flame of fire burning brightly. And there circled things like shining mountains, and they shook to and fro. And I asked one of the holy angels who were with me, and said to him, What is this shining thing? For it is not a heaven, but only the flame of a burning fire, and the voice of shouting and crying and lamenting and of great pain. And he said to me, This place which thou seest here are brought the souls of the sinners, and of the revilers, and of those who do evil and change everything that God speaks through the mouth of the prophets concerning things to take place. For some of these have been written down and noted above in heaven, that the angels may read and know what will happen to the sinners and to the spirits of the humble who have chastised their bodies, and for that receive their reward from God, and of those who are reviled by wicked men, who loved God and did not love gold or silver or all the riches of the world, but gave over their bodies to torture, and who, since they existed, did not long for terrestrial food, but considered themselves a breath that passes away, and lived accordingly, and were often tried by God, and their spirits were found in cleanness to praise his name. All the blessings they received I have marked down in the books, and he has destined for them their wages, because they have been shown as those who loved the everlasting heaven more than their life. And while they were trodden down by wicked men, and heard abuse and reviling from them, praised me. And now I will call to the spirits of the good from the generation of light, and change those who were born in darkness, who have not been rewarded in their bodies with honor, as was meet for their fidelity. And I will lead out in a shining light those who love my holy name, and will set each one on the throne of honor, of his honor. And they will glitter in times without number, for justice is the judgment of God, for he will give fidelity to the faithful in the dwellings of the paths of rectitude. And they will see how those who were born in darkness will be cast into darkness, while the just will glitter. And the sinners will cry and see them as they shine, and they will go there where days and times are written for them.